Thank you for being with us again. Yeah, if you would kind of direct your attention to the screens, first thing that we always like to do at any chamber event is to thank our sponsors. Nothing would happen at the chamber without the generous support of so many people. Today we have our platinum sponsors, the EPB Fiber Optics, Nova Copy, Sandler Training, and Volkswagen Chattanooga. Our gold sponsors are Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, RJ Young, YP, and Unum. And our silver sponsors are Access America Transport, Chambliss Bonner and Stoffel PC, Chattanooga Technology Council, Chatham, Cohutta Banking Company, DeCosimo Certified Public Accountants, Henderson, Hutchison, and McCullough, PLLC, Info Systems, Inc., Lattimore, Black, Morgan, and Kane, Malden and Jenkins, LLC, Miller and Martin, PLLC, SunTrust Bank, Tandus Centtiva, and our media sponsors are Brewer Media, Power 94, the Chattanooga Times Free Press, Clear Channel Media and Entertainment, US 101, CMC Publications, Cityscope Magazine, Coffee News, Cumulus Media Chattanooga, 107.9 Big FM, Fairway Outdoor, Partners for Christian Media, J103, The Pulse, WDEF FM Radio, Sunny 92.3, WRCB TV, Channel 3 Eyewitness News, WTCI TV, PBS, and WTVC News Channel 9. So please join me in thanking our sponsors for today's event. You know, we obviously can't also do anything without the support of our elected officials. And I also want to call attention to those that are with us today. I'm going to introduce in a few minutes Ken Jordan, who's here representing Mayor Coppinger. But Mayor Andy Burke will also speak and introduce our speaker. But from the City Council, we have Chairman Yusuf Hakim. He's waving his hand on the front row up here. Moses Freeman, Larry Groen, Jerry Mitchell, and Ken Smith. And then both of our state senators, Todd Gardenhire and Bo Watson, are with us today. Thank you so much for representing us. Then I would like to just say, this since is our very first Diversify event, I would like to kick it off with just a few remarks. Why are we here today? Chattanooga cannot achieve its full potential economically until everyone in our area can achieve his or her full potential. When Chattanooga grows and prospers, everyone grows and prospers. That's why 1 year ago, the Chamber launched our new African American Business Development Program, and that's why we're hosting the first annual Diversify event today. This event was launched and built by Maria Noel. Maria, I know I saw you up here a minute ago. Would you please stand up? She has a new nickname at the Chamber. It's called the Energizer Bunny. As you can see, she's done a wonderful job of pulling this event together today, and she works every day to help African American businesses be successful. One of the Chamber's basic missions is to help businesses connect with each other. It makes perfect sense that we would do that for African American businesses too. Under Maria's leadership, we have connected with the Tennessee Minority Supplier Development Council in Nashville. This will increase opportunities for Chattanooga African American firms to get work across the entire state. It's also opened a communication channel for us to learn how other cities in Tennessee have been successful in these efforts. And that's what led us to inviting our speaker today. Maria has had several successful meetings that bring procurement officers from the city's largest employers together to share ideas and resources. We are working with the Urban League as they assist firms in raising capital and getting bonded and certified to do work. We are working with the city's new Office of Multicultural Affairs to raise the level of awareness about work opportunities for African Americans and other minorities. Several of our members sponsored a Skybox event at Riverbend for Brandy's performance, for those of you who remember that, so that companies could get together to know each other in a social setting to enhance their ability to work together. And I'm very proud to tell you that a couple of the Chamber's councils have sponsored individuals and companies within their footprints to be with us today. So we're feeling good about the first year of our new project. 1 year ago, there were only 20 African American companies that were members of the Chamber. And I'm proud to tell you that today we have doubled that to 40. But that's not enough. And I also want you to know that we are not requiring anyone to be a member to get our assistance. We want to deliver on the value we can bring them so they will want to be a part of the dynamic business community we represent. With over 1,700 member companies ranging from the largest employers to newly launched small businesses, the Chattanooga Chamber is in the best position to help diverse companies make connections they need to make to grow. So the most important thing I want to do is thank everyone in this room. By your showing up today and supporting this event, you showing that you believe in this important project. So thanks to everyone for making this happen today. And now it's my honor to introduce Ken Jordan, who is the county's Equal Employment Opportunity Officer, to representing Mayor Coppinger. Ken, welcome to the platform.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Hamilton County Mayor Jim Coppinger and Hamilton County government, thank you for the invitation here to provide a few remarks. Firstly, congratulations to Ron, Howard, and the Chamber Board, the entire Chamber staff, and especially Maria Knoll on the inaugural Diversify 2013 event, as well as the recently established African American Business Development Program. But for Maria's commitment to public service, I believe she would be here today not as program director, but as a successful entrepreneur speaking to us. Our mission at Hamilton County government is meeting the needs of the people where they live, work, and play. To fulfill that mission, the county strives to create a diverse and productive work environment representative and reflective of the county. We recognize that diversity of employees can maximize success not only in the workplace, but in our larger community as well. We know that understanding, respecting, and creatively using all of our differences, we will increase our ability to meet the needs of our citizens. I believe it is with that understanding that Mayor Coppinger, along with the County Commission, especially Commissioners Warren Mackey and Greg Beck, expanded the county's partnership with the Chattanooga Area Chamber of Commerce. They all know from past experience the effectiveness and efficiency of public-private partnerships in achieving community goals. It's the Chattanooga-Hamilton County way. Ron and Maria, the mayor knows that you all are off to a fabulous start. Just recently, a couple of weeks ago, the county's purchasing director and county engineer participated in the 2013 Chattanooga Construction Conference at the Incubator to increase opportunities for DBEs in our area. I'm certain that the mayor and the county commission look forward to your continued success. And finally, like all of us here, I look forward to hearing Mayor Wharton share his experiences, lessons, and/or advice to improve our community. And with that, I believe next up is the Honorable Andy Burke, Mayor of Chattanooga. Thank you.
Yes, and so Andy, I can't get away. I've got to give you a double introduction just to keep you on your toes. Andy was sitting here at the table saying, you know, I think people are tired of hearing me. And I said, no, sir, not yet. We are very honored to have our city mayor here. He's been so supportive of this project since his very first days in office, and we're enjoying all the support that he has given the chamber. So it's my great pleasure to introduce our mayor, Andy Burke.
Well, good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here today, and my job here is to introduce our great mayor from Memphis, A.C. Wharton. Before I do that, let me just say a couple words. Number one is, from my first days in office, and perhaps even before I came into office, between my election and taking the oath, Ron came to see me to talk about this very project and his commitment personally, not just from the chamber, to making projects like this work. And so the city is incredibly proud to be a partner to the chamber as it goes forward. Our Office of Multicultural Affairs and James McKissick is doing a wonderful job, but the greatest part is the way that we can work together as a city, as nonprofits, as private industry, to come together, all of us, to see the greatest growth that we can for our area. I know that we have a number of city council people, Yusuf Hakim, our chairman, we have Jerry Mitchell, Larry Groen, Moses Freeman, and Ken Smith, all who support this great idea. And so to all of you, to the chamber, thank you for having this event and for having me here today. Now, my job, as I said, is to introduce Mayor A.C. Wharton. And so I'm going to tell you something that not a lot of people know. I found out when I first started dealing with him, I was a state senator, and a lot of issues were going on, particularly with Memphis and the school system, and I had to talk to him on the telephone. So first thing that you do is, right, you Google somebody. This is the world today. I Googled him. I said, I wonder what AC stands for. And the truth of the matter is, I looked it up, and Mayor, you correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, it stands for AC. And so I always thought that was interesting, and I'm not going to rename A.C. Wharton. But today, what I do want to do is tell you, in my mind, somebody I admire, I respect, what I believe AC stands for when it comes to A.C. Wharton. Number one is, he is all conference. By that I mean, you do not want to play him. As a politician, I respect this. He has been elected 2 times as the mayor of Memphis recently. But before that, he was elected at least twice that I can tell as the public defender of Memphis, of Shelby County, twice as the mayor of Shelby County. And when you look at his elections and you kind of go through the totals, every time you see 60 plus up there, that is somebody who's getting the job done. He is all conference. The second thing that I thought AC stands for is he is Achievement Central. Achievement Central. As a public defender, he took over a really bad situation. And there were serious problems with overcrowding in the Shelby County jails. He took that on, not just saying my job is to represent these individual people, but to make sure that the system works better for everyone. And he made a huge difference in that community. While he was Shelby County mayor, he did so much to make that county work better. Decrease the debt. Decided as county mayor he wasn't just going to let the crime issues that face the community be the city's responsibility. He actually started Operation Safe Community to make a real difference there. He did for the first time ever, Shelby County took on Sustainable Shelby to make sure that they had a plan for the environment all around the area. And he worked on these smart growth issues that really their entire region was facing. Now, since he's been mayor just over the last 4 years in Memphis, he started the Office of Talent and Human Capital to make sure that they were keeping their best and brightest right there in Memphis. He's been working on neighborhood issues, crime, economic development, the true issues that face our community as well as Memphis. And he recently led an effort to come up with a strategic plan that would help not only capitalize on their logistics work that they do in Memphis, but also expand their overall strategy for how they build economic development and growth in Memphis. And speaking of Achievement Central, I didn't have a chance to see this and know about this, but while we were sitting there, I said, oh, how's everything going? He said, well, I just got back from getting an award from CEOs for Cities for my job as mayor, Achievement Central, A.C. Wharton. The last one that I want to say AC stands for is, and this is important to me as I have gotten to know him as a person, is always caring. This is a person who really thinks about his job and what he does and the way that it affects individuals. As a lawyer, he made sure that he helped those individuals with mental illness, really finding ways to get involved in their lives and help them have a better life. When you look at how he approaches the problems, he's really trying to figure out how you empower people to live the best possible life. And I truly think that he tries to figure out what it is that's going to bring the most people into the fold. And so his campaign slogan last time, which I really admire, was something called One Memphis. Now, that's hard to do in Memphis. For those of you who've been following Memphis politics for decades, but the reason that people will follow him and listen to him and make sure that he's successful is because he's always caring and truly believes from an individual perspective they are one Memphis. Ladies and gentlemen, the great mayor of Memphis, Tennessee, A.C. Wharton.
Good afternoon, and thanks for that introduction, Mayor Burke. Thank you so much, and to the Chamber and all of its officers for inviting me over to share with you and some of our experiences in Memphis. Hopefully there will be something to gain, and it's always good to be back on this end of the state. It's amazing that it was just by a 30-day margin that I ended up moving to Memphis as opposed to Chattanooga. I was working in Washington, and a delegation came up and recruited me to move to Memphis. They didn't have a black attorney at that time, and I was just about there, and then someone from Memphis said, "Hey, come to Memphis," which is closer to Ole Miss. So I ended up there. I don't know whether that's good or bad for you or not, but it's good to be back over this way. To all of our elected officials who are here, thank you so much. They're probably not in the federal staffers here with the shutdown. Anybody from, and if they are, they're not supposed to be here. They'll get in trouble because you're shut down. That's one of the luxuries of being in the federal government. You can do things like that. Mayor Burke, can you do that? What's going on in Washington does every day make me appreciate more what those of us at the local level have to do. So give your mayor, Mr. Chairman, and council, the other council members, give them a round of applause for what they do every day. And I notice that we have your two state senators here, the same thing with the state. Y'all can't shut the state down, can you? You've got to get it done, and it gives us a greater appreciation for local government. I say that because I have a chip on my shoulder about local government. We watch the council meetings, and you say, "Oh, y'all were just fighting down there," but guess what? When it's all done, we get the job done, and we get it done on time. I'll take a little fight and a little dust up any day if you're going to get the job done. If anybody in this room thinks that living in the city is too raucous and people argue too much, hey, get over it. It's not going to get, that's the whole idea of moving to a city. Folks living out there on their own, and they see they can't make it, so when folks come together out of necessity, you're going to have those clashes, so just get over the little skirmishes you might have. I keep up with what goes on in Chattanooga, and look, what y'all have here is playground stuff compared to what we have over there in Memphis. And that's right, that one Memphis thing, let me tell you, you're absolutely right, Mayor Burke. It was indeed a challenge. Let me go back to the chamber. You don't know how significant this step is. Ron and Mr. Levine, the chairman of the board and all, this is your way of saying that it's not enough, Ron, to just know that in our hearts we're right. That's not enough. The days of trying to go out and find a bad person to blame for not being inclusive, for not getting what you believe is your fair share of what our great city, your great city has to offer, those days are over. it's hard to find a bad person with whom you can just get mad about because he said this or she said that. It's the practices which, if we just leave them alone, nothing is going to change. So what you've done is you've taken that first step to say that it's not enough to be good in our hearts. We have to wake up every day with the sense, and they've made up this new word called intentionality. I've heard it at fancy conferences, so I'm going to use it here. I don't know whether it's in the dictionary. Somebody Google it up while I'm up here. But you got to wake up every day with that sense of intentionality, single quotes for the time being, until somebody tells me it's a real word. You got to wake up every day and say, it is my intention today. It is the Chamber's intention today, tomorrow, next week, next year. This is our intention, not to be good, but to do good and to do the right thing. And this is the first step toward that. So I commend you for that. On a personal note, it's great to be here in Chattanooga today. I read the paper this morning, and I was sitting there talking with Mayor Burke, and he said he's the mayor of this city, and he doesn't have to get this approved by the council. I'm going to take his word for this. He was trying to buy some former housing authority site. His best offer was $1 million. I understand they rejected it. I leaned over to him and said, hey, you know, it's rough in Memphis. Would you help a brother out? I need that $1 million. He leaned over and said, hey, pick the check up on your way out. Mr. Chairman, is that the understanding we had? So I really appreciate that. That'll go a long, long way in helping us close that big gap we got there in Memphis. I mean, what? A greater friend hath no man than someone, who will lay down $1 million for his brother. Thank you so much, Mayor Burke. It's just really great and so magnanimous of you to do that. The people of Memphis, come down there and run. If you give us that $1 million, you will get you elected down there. You'll be mayor at large. You'll have East and West. We'll make you mayor of the East and the West if you do that. But again, let me get serious about the order of the day here and just make a few comments to you and then be on your way. I know that you all want to get outside. It is a beautiful day out there. I just sat outside for a minute ago down there, so I know you want to get back out there. But again, it's really great to be here discussing a matter that is of significance to those of you here in Chattanooga, but it ought to be of great significance to everybody in our great state of Tennessee. I'm particularly grateful to the Chattanooga Area Chamber for this invitation to be a part of this inaugural event, and again to Chairman Levine and President Harr and to the entire Chamber Board and staff for the hospitality you have shown me in inviting me here and while I've been here this morning. Memphis and Chattanooga, although at remote ends of the state, have more in common than sometimes meets the eye. We both have challenges that are found in much larger cities and assets that are often undersold, but more than that, both of our cities are often underestimated when it comes to our innate creativity in dealing with those issues and leveraging our assets. Your history of creativity is one of the things I admire most about Chattanooga. It's hard today to look around this exciting city, and I don't say that just because somebody said that's what you ought to say. Each time I'm over, I just ride around and look at the riverfront and just look at the things that I've seen develop so rapidly in this city. It's just hard to remember that about 30 years ago, your great city was given up for dead, much the same way the city of Memphis was after the assassination of Dr. King. Time magazine wrote, basically, what do you expect out of a decadent river city, both given up for dead. And my good friend Calvin Anderson, I just happened to see him, but I forgot to mention him. When I try to get Calvin to pay taxes in Memphis, he says, I live in Chattanooga. Mayor Burke told me when he tries to get him to pay taxes, I live in Memphis. You got to make up your mind, Calvin, where do you live? And you need to stop switching. I saw him the other day. He switches license tags on there. He got Hamilton County on there, and then, so I don't know which one it is. But I do want to thank the entire BCB, the Blue Shield Blue Cross team for all that they have done, not only this end of the state, but for my end of the state. So thank you so much, Kevin, for all that you and your great company have done for us. But again, here was a city that was written off, and nothing's going to happen there, given up for dead. One time it was called the Dynamo of Dixie. Chattanooga, at that time, 30 years ago, was losing population. Downtown was languishing, and manufacturing jobs were vanishing. But what Chattanooga's did remains one of the most impressive examples of citizens taking charge of their own future that has taken place in the and this is not hyperbole, that has taken place in the modern history of United States cities. We hear a lot these days about DIY cities, do-it-yourself cities, especially when the conversation turns to places like Portland, Oregon. But the truth is, Chattanooga is one of the very first do-it-yourself cities. The Chattanooga comeback is nothing short of astounding as you transform this city from being called the most polluted in America to one of the most envied, most admired in the country for the way that you have leveraged your riverfront to define a new narrative and a new national brand. As cities like mine, Memphis, today, discuss the best ways to activate our riverfronts, Chattanooga remains a case study, teaching to most of all that the work to create a great city is never, never complete. The Chattanooga comeback is a chapter in most books about urban planning, economic development, placemaking, and public-private partnerships. And as someone who works in all of those areas every day, that's another reason it is especially good to be here today. Today, as you have done in the past, Chattanooga is taking steps to propel its economy and to engage as many of its citizens in its benefits as possible. Again, this is a critical day for you. In cities like Chattanooga and Memphis, there are few things more important than creating entrepreneurs who are driving today's economy, the small businesses where most jobs are found, and the access for companies that face extra social, economic, and financial barriers. So congratulations on this inaugural event. It sends an unmistakable message that Chattanooga, once again, is turning its attention to reaching its full potential. In this spirit, you are so wise to turn your attention to minority and women-owned businesses, and I appreciate the chance to give you just a few points on what we've done over in Memphis. After all, it's one thing to say that minority business matters. It's something altogether different to show that it matters. In Memphis, we've been intent about doing both. I'm also delighted to be here today to have this opportunity to compare notes with one of the most dynamic young mayors in the United States, Andy Burt. Now, I've been told that there are some people who want him to release his official birth certificate. It is alleged that he must be a twin because they find it hard to believe that one person could get so much underway in such a short period of time. I want to learn from that, Mayor Burt. That his agenda represents a balance between the visionary and the practical is a testament to his style of leadership. What has impressed me is that he is restructuring city government to make sure it gets the basics right while aiming for Chattanooga to become the technology hub of the Southeast. And if you don't think anyone is listening, just last month, the highly respected National Journal spotlighted Mayor Burke's ambitions for your great city. I know Mayor Burke has been busy on all fronts, but I am confident that after only a few months in office, he can attest to one fact of city mayors, and that is that city mayors are their city's chief economic development officials. You might go out and hire somebody, but when it comes to selling your city, it is the mayor's job to sell the city both at home and abroad. That's not simply because Andy Burke will spend a lot of time, more than he imagined, quite frankly, when he ran for office, to create jobs and investment, but because everything he touches and every program he launches will in fact shape your economic future. Of all those factors, he and the Chattanooga Area Chamber of Commerce are right in focusing early on the potential of minority business that exists in your city, but more than that, concentrating on how to turn that potential into real, honest-to-goodness economic growth. Few things offer an economic payoff that is larger than an increase in minority businesses. After all, in a city where 15% of businesses are owned by African Americans and 23.4% are owned by women, Chattanooga's ability to expand these businesses puts more money in everyone's cash registers. It's almost inevitable for me on occasions like this to think of two men who symbolize for me the opportunity and the reward that lie at the heart of today's event. And this fall of the year, it's so appropriate to reflect on these two men. One, Branch Rickey, and Jackie Robinson. All Mr. Rickey wanted was to give everyone with talent an equal access to succeed, and all Jackie Robinson wanted was to prove that he could compete with anyone. In the end, they proved that when we focus on winning, however we define that, and don't get bogged down on issues of race and other things that divide us, there is plenty of success to go around. It's a remarkable story that began when a solitary white man decided there had to be a better way. While everyone remembers the Jackie Robinson story, Branch Rickey's commitment began years earlier when he was coaching college and a hotel manager told him that an African American player on his team would not be admitted to the hotel. Rickey became embroiled in a dispute, and ultimately the hotel manager allowed the player into the hotel not to have a separate room, but if he would sleep on a cot in the coach's room. It was years later before Mr. Rickey told the story as an explanation of why he wanted to open up baseball. He said as the college player sat on the cot, he was crying and trying to scratch off the skin off his hand, saying, "If I were white, I'd be as good as anybody. Wouldn't I, Mr. Rickey? If only I was white." It was a seminal experience for Mr. Rickey, who said that skin color was irrelevant and that at the end of the day, he had one goal, and that one goal was to win. Winning, that's the goal. And to win, he wanted everyone to have a chance to get into the game and to achieve. Later, he would carefully select Jackie Robinson to be the literal game changer for baseball. And yet, Rickey required Robinson to take an oath that he would not retaliate for 3 years for the bigotry that would be heaped upon him from opposing players and fans in the stands. Subsequently, after Jackie Robinson redefined the game of baseball, Ricky admitted that white men don't have to take oaths because they had the advantage. But he felt that the oath gave Robinson his best chance for success. The moral of that great American story is that Jackie Robinson and Branch Rickey led by example. They reminded people of what was right. They reminded people that there was a better way. They reminded people that personal excellence was the only test for success that mattered. The story is the perfect parable for today's event because in the end, this is all about everyone having an opportunity for success, and about Chattanooga having its best economic opportunities as well. When I took office as city mayor in Memphis, a disparity study showed that more than 63% of Memphians were African Americans, but just under 10% of minority and women-owned businesses participated in $191 million in construction contracts over the previous 3 years. In a word, that was just plain unacceptable and inexcusable. And just as important as the lost economic activity was the way that these practices conveyed a message to minority companies that the system was rigged against them and that contracts were mostly about who had the political influence. It also sent a devastating message to minority entrepreneurs that to succeed, it might be better just to pack up and leave Memphis, Tennessee. I suspect that the Chamber's new African American Business Development Program will encounter, in many instances, similar attitudes. That was the case when I created the Memphis Office of Resources and Enterprise to increase minority contracts, an office that reports directly to me. Anybody can call Alandis Dobbins and knows that in just a few minutes what they say to her will be in my ear, in my office, on my desk. We wanted to make sure that everybody had access directly to the top, whether they contribute to a campaign, whether they were well connected or not. There were so many things that were wrong. Have we had complete success? Absolutely not. But just over the past few short years, we have awarded approximately $130 million in construction projects. For example, construction of a 16-acre green space and tailgating area adjacent to our Liberty Bowl. We had 51% minority participation, 51%, and that was solid participation. Improvements to the stadium that included new lights, new turf, new sound, repainting, all of that, everything, 30% minority participation. Public improvements to our sports arena, used to be the home of the Grizzlies Pyramid. Just in getting ready for that, 43% minority participation. An arts district we're creating, 28%. We had to demolish some concrete towers, 100% participation. Getting ready for the American Steamboat Company to come in, 30%. I mention these because many of them are non-traditional areas. It can be done if you do as you have done here and focus on not doing it because it's the good thing, but being intentional because it is the right thing. We have focused particularly on breaking down the myths. One of the biggest contracts was about $10 million when we were getting ready to bring the Mitsubishi plant to town. We had to relocate the city's main sewer interceptor in order to get that plant there. That was a job that very few companies could do. We found a minority company based right there. It involved moving a railroad, a tunnel. It was just an amazing job, but it was done right and it was done on time. Those are the kinds of things that will send the right signal and encourage others and let them know that you are indeed serious about that. How do you do that? Again, it has to be intentional. You've got to have someone working on it every day, getting the minority and women businesses to understand that you can't handle every one of these big jobs, so why don't you come together, pool your resources, make one bid as opposed to 5 competing bids. And that's the kind of thing that we have done. We've cut out some of the competition among themselves, and we have been eminently successful on that. The City Council created an oversight committee, the Minority Business Development Oversight Committee, which quarterly calls in every agency of city government, and we cooperate with them to give an accounting of what we have done. It is amazing that what we can do when we, again, do as you are doing here, and regard this not as an option, not as a nice, cute sounding program, but something that is integral to the very foundation of your future and your continued economic success. I applaud you on that, and I ask that you always just keep in mind that it will not be easy along the way. You're going to be sued probably. I have been sued on every big contract. Get ready for it. You're going to be sued. This is America. Nothing changes without a fight. Don't go home feeling all immoral or something. That's the nature. If you're in America, you're going to get sued when you try to do something. So beef up your city attorney's office. You're going to get sued too. Just get ready for it. I mean, name something you can do in this country without getting sued. I mean, after all, as a lawyer, aren't we great people, Mayor Burke? Had to get that in for plug. My wife and children are still practicing, so I had to get that in. This is what I would simply ask you to do, is remember that leadership does matter. You have the leadership. It requires planning and alignment. You're doing that. You have to reframe the conversation. This is not about giving a break to anybody. This is simply taking advantage and capitalizing on every asset you have in this city. The river, your riverfront, is great, not because it was just there, but because you took it and you capitalized on it. That's what minority business is in this community. It is an asset. Take it, reframe the conversation, not in terms of what can we do for them, but what can they do for our great city. Fourth, we're all in this together, and there's no such thing as the white business community, the women, we're all in it together. Those who look at you from afar do not segment your community. They say Chattanooga, we're considering Chattanooga. They don't say we're considering white Chattanooga, black Chattanooga, male Chattanooga, female Chattanooga. And what do you project to those who are looking at you from afar? As I stand here, I cannot help but reflect on just how critical it is to making everybody feel at home and that they're getting their fair share of everything that your great city has to offer and will have to offer. As a boy over in Wilson County, my daddy always raised livestock. And of course, on Thursdays, we would go to the Wilson County stockyard to sell whatever livestock we had. My dad always felt that in our country, he didn't know how to say it at the third grade education, but he was trying to say that a man is judged on what he produces. You're never judged in this country on what you consume. The ultimate sense of worth. Should it be this way? You can debate that. But my daddy said, he would say, you always got to meet the public. That was his way of saying that you got to have some output. You got to be doing something. This is why he farmed. We ran a grocery store. He did everything because he wanted to show that he could produce. And my happiest moments were when we would go to the stockyard, to the barn, and unload our livestock. Now, although Lebanon, Tennessee was segregated as any place in the South, there was one place that was not segregated. When you pulled up to the stockyard, there was no black line or white line, pickup truck lined up as soon as you got there. They never did. So, all right, colored farmers over there, you fell in line. And the buyers would come out. If you had a reputation of having good hogs, we raised Duroc hogs, spelled D-U-R-O-C. Y'all all city people, you don't know what that is. It's a breed of hog. It's the best you can find. Good red meat, a lot of red meat in that hog. And they would come out and they would, somebody knows what a Duroc is. Get on your Google again. Y'all gonna be brilliant when you get out of here. And they would climb up. They would climb up and they would start bidding on my daddy's hogs before we could even get in. Most of the time, we didn't have to wait. Matter of fact, usually what ended up in the arena where they ran them around were the old culls that nobody outside wanted, and they'd bid on them. Occasionally, we'd have to go in and go on in. And when they would sell, my daddy would go. They did not have, on that side of town where we were producing, there was only one door into the cashier's office. There was no black door, no white door, because we were producing. We sold a product, and we walked right in that door. I never felt so bad, but they didn't call him by his last name. Of course, it was AC. Here's your check. See you next time. And I felt so good. I felt so good that we were producing. Contrast that with the fact that after we had sold those hogs or whatever, I had a little job working for a man who ran a little farm, and I would have to sit outside a restaurant where he had breakfast every morning, and I'd smell the bacon and everything coming out of there. And I'd just say, why can't I go in there and get me a sausage and biscuit? Why can't I get a lettuce and tomato and bacon? Why can't I go in there? Why do I have to sit out here and have that white man ask me? He called me bully, which was the term. They never called you by your name. Bully, you want something? And every once in a while, yes, sir, and he'd bring me something out, but I couldn't go in there and get it. And the paradox of that, I would say, but my daddy just sold you that hog yesterday that you made this sausage out of, and you treated my daddy right. But here I am now, I just want to taste it. I'm consuming, but you're not treating me right. And it just kept coming back to me, and it became inculcated in me that in this country, you're not judged by what you buy, what you consume, but what you produce. That's all minority businesses are asking for. Judge me on what I produce, what I contribute. Chattanooga, you're well on your way. I congratulate you. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Mayor Wharton, we thank you so much for those inspiring words. It's exactly what we needed to hear today, and we obviously made the right choice in inviting you to help us launch this initiative. I was wondering during the mayor's introduction what AC meant myself, and now I think I have another definition. I think it stands for electrifying. And I was hoping that you were kidding about the $1 million. And just in case you were, I'd like for you to know that the Chattanooga Chamber is making a donation in your name to the Wharton Charitable Foundation in Memphis, which helps students achieve their educational goals without financial worries. So in addition to the $1 million, thanks again. So I hope you all are inspired after his remarks. This is the end of our first year of kind of getting this program going. It's going now. We've got effective meetings that are going on. People are getting to know each other. Let's take Mayor Wharton's advice and let's let this next year be a year where we really do produce and that we show people that everybody in this community has an opportunity to produce along with the rest of Chattanooga. Got a couple of announcements. It wouldn't be a chamber meeting without announcements. We're having an open house Thursday, October 24th at 811 Broad Street. Some of you ask me, where are you located? And I'm like, are you kidding me? So please come down to 811 Broad on October 24th. We'll show you where we are, and we'll have some fun together. Also, our next big luncheon is the Spirit of Innovation, November 13th. Please put that on your calendar. Get out your technology. I know that you're through Googling everything Mayor Wharton told you about. Put that date on your calendar, November 13th, for the Spirit of Innovation. And also, we have our Expo Chattanooga, and you can reserve a booth at that same date. So, also, we want to put in a plug here for our friends at the Urban League. They are having the 2013 Equal Opportunity Day Breakfast, Tuesday, October 29th at 7:30 a.m. So while you have your iPhone or whatever it is out there, put that on there. That's October 29th, 7:30 a.m. And then, if you didn't get a chance on your way in today, dawdle a little bit as you leave and look at our Diversity Expo that's just through the curtains there, and a market where you can get to know some of our business owners and the products that they make and the services that they provide in this community. It's a major part of what we're doing, and we also invite you to attend some of our free seminars associated with this event. So thanks again to everyone in this room for making this a great success. You exceeded our expectations, and it's all because you care, and we're going to make a difference together. Thank you.